Picture this. You're standing in front of a mirror. You look into your own eyes, expecting to see yourself staring back. But what you see is a complete stranger, someone you don't recognize. Confusing, right? Well, Jung would say, this isn't just a strange hallucination. It's a glimpse into your shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is basically the dark side of humanity. But here's the catch. It's not some external monster lurking in the darkness. It's an integral part of you, a hidden aspect that you've probably buried deep within. Think of your childhood, those embarrassing moments, those naughty thoughts you quickly shoved aside. Those parts of you that felt wrong or unacceptable. Jung believed we all have these buried aspects, and instead of facing them, we project them onto others. Suddenly, that stranger in the mirror isn't so strange after all. He or she is a reflection of your own suppressed emotions, desires, and beliefs. But hold on a second, why would anyone want to do that? I'd bury these parts of ourselves. Jung argued that we're social creatures, meaning we constantly compare ourselves to societal standards. He said our shadow selves emerge from this comparison. These are the parts of us that don't quite fit in, that stray from societal norms. And to protect our carefully crafted public image, we push these parts of ourselves down, out of sight, out of mind. Does any of this sound familiar? Have you ever found yourself hating someone, despising their behavior, only to realize later that you were actually hating yourself? Or have you ever felt a sudden burst of anger, not because of the situation, but because it triggered an unresolved emotion inside you? These are instances where your shadow is trying to peek through. But instead of confronting it, we often double down on the hate, the anger, or whatever else that makes us feel superior. Why? Because facing our shadow is like staring into that mirror and acknowledging what we see. And in that acknowledgement, we find ourselves. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Carl Jung was onto something profound here. He didn't just propose a theory, gave us a map, a roadmap to our own complexities. But maps are only useful if we use them. If we continue to ignore our shadow selves, we're essentially ignoring a big part of ourselves. And that, my friend, is not living. That's merely existing. Here's the kicker. Jung believed that integrating our shadow is the key to wholeness. By wholeness, he didn't mean some utopian ideal. He meant accepting all of ourselves, the light and the dark. Imagine you're planning a trip, right? You wouldn't pack only essentials or only entertainment, would you? You'd pack a little bit of everything based on your needs and the journey ahead. Similarly, our minds need both the light and the dark aspects to function well. We can't afford to just be logical all the time or just emotional. So how do we do this? How do we integrate our shadow? Jung suggested a few things, like facing our emotions head-on instead of burying them, embracing the parts of ourselves we've deemed unacceptable, and even finding ways to express our shadow through creative outlets like art or writing. It won't be easy, but the payoff could be immense, because when we truly understand ourselves, we can stop wasting energy on hating ourselves or others. We can channel that energy into creating something real, something authentic. But here's the, will we? Will we take this leap of faith into the abyss of our own minds? Or will we continue to cling to the surface, to the illusion? Will we become the overman, as Nietzsche suggested? Or will we remain trapped in the cycle of hate and fear? The choice, my friend, is yours. Think about that for a second. What are you willing to destroy in order to become something more? Are you holding on to people, places, things, memories, beliefs that no longer serve you? Are you willing to let them go? Because here, said the harsh truth, clinging to the past will only keep you stuck in the present. Are you willing to destroy your fear of what others think in order to become authentically you? Because here's the harsh truth. The approval of others is a temporary high that will never replace the validation you seek within yourself. Are you willing to destroy your pride, your ego, your need to be right in order to grow? Because here's the harsh truth. True strength comes not from never falling, but from rising every time you fall. Are you willing to destroy the life you've been holding on to so tightly in order to create one that sets your soul on fire? Because here's the harsh truth. The greatest risk is not taking the leap of faith, staying where you are, watching others soar while you slowly fade away. Now, this isn't about being reckless. It's about being intentional. It's about making a choice. It's about saying, I am no longer willing to be mediocre, to play small, to settle for less. It's about recognizing that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is destroy the parts of you that no longer serve your highest purpose. Are you listening to me? Can you feel the power in those words? I am no longer willing. That's a statement of intent. That's a declaration of independence. It's a rejection of the old self, of the one that's been holding you back, keeping you safe, keeping you small. But that self no longer has a hold on you. Why? Because you've awakened. You're no longer willing to compromise on your dreams, your goals, your happiness. You're not willing to settle for a life that's less than you deserve. And that's where your transformation begins, not in the destruction, but in the choosing. In the deciding that you are worth the effort, that you are worth the risk, that you are worth the sacrifice, you are worth becoming. You are not a fixed being. You are a creator of meaning. Meaning is not inherent. It's not handed to us on a silver platter by any higher power or ancient text, something we manufacture, we mold, we craft out of the raw materials of our experiences, our relationships, our choices. We create lives that lack depth, that feel empty, that leave us perpetually unfulfilled. First, we have to get comfortable with the discomfort of uncertainty. We have to learn to sit with the question marks and the what-ifs. We have to stop looking for certainty and start looking for inspiration. Second, we have to cultivate what Nietzsche called amor fati. Amor fati means love of fate. But it's more than that. It's an affirmation of life, a yes to existence, a willingness to embrace the absurd. When we love life, when we affirm existence, no matter what it throws at us, we create meaning. It's in the gap between the absurd and our response to it that meaning gets created. Third, and perhaps most importantly, we have to learn to say yes to ourselves. To our deepest desires, to our wildest dreams, to our most authentic selves. We have to learn to demand what we want, to set boundaries around what we don't, and to unapologetically show up as who we are, not who we think we're supposed to be. Nietzsche knew this. He saw that the greatest tormentor of the individual isn't external, it's internal. It's a conversation that happens every day, every hour, every minute, even every cell. Are you willing to have that conversation? Are you willing to create a life that means something to you, that makes your heart sing, that lights your soul on fire? Because here's the truth. You are more than you've been told. You're more than your mistakes, your traumas, your insecurities. You are more than the roles and expectations others have placed upon you. You are a creator of meaning. The world needs your unique contribution. So what are you willing to destroy in order to become something more? It's the voice that tells you you're not enough, that you're not worthy, that you don't get to decide. It's the feeling of helplessness, of hopelessness, of resignation in the face of a life that seems devoid of purpose. We each have the power to decide what our lives mean, what our struggles signify, what our relationships represent, what our actions stand for. In other words, we get to choose our own values. Now this might seem obvious. This idea that we set our own values. Who doesn't want to think of themselves as a free, independent, autonomous human being? But let me ask you this. If you truly believe you can set your own values, then why do you still find yourself apologizing for having needs? For expressing wants? For setting boundaries? For making demands? Why do you still find yourself shrinking to accommodate the expectations of others? Even when those expectations don't align with what you want, don't align with who you want to be. Why is it so much easier to shape ourselves based on other people's desires than to articulate our own? Because for most of us, the idea of creating our own values feels radically new. We haven't been taught how to do it. We don't know what it looks like. We fear that if we step into this uncharted territory, we'll be lost, that we'll make the wrong choices, that we'll end up creating a life that doesn't actually mean anything. But here's the irony. By refusing to set our own values, by refusing to create meaning, we actually end up creating meaninglessness. So how do we escape this trap? How do we begin to create a life that means something to us, that speaks our name, that sings our song? Creating meaning isn't a one-time project. It's an ongoing process. Okay, now it's time for the main event. The last principle that truly embodies the spirit of this philosophy is this: stop caring what people think. Now let me explain. When we talk about overcoming, we're talking about becoming freer. Freer to think, freer to feel, freer to create. But there's one thing that can crush that freedom faster than anything else: other people's opinions. You see, ever since we were tiny kids, our opinions have been shaped by the world around us. By our parents, our friends, our teachers, our peers, the media, society. And don't get me wrong, some of these influences might have been positive. Some people might have helped us grow. But the problem is, we could not always tell which influence is helping us and which is holding us back. And over time, we internalize these opinions. We start believing that what other people think is more important than what we think. And that's when we lose ourselves. Nietzsche recognized this, and that's why he said, "Stop caring what people think. It's not just polite, it's essential." It's the difference between living a life of duty and living a life of passion. See, passionate people do what they want, not what they feel they should. Because they know the only person you should try to please is yourself. Oh, but this is easier said than done, right? How do you escape the matrix of other people's opinions? How do you stop caring what they think? Well, first you have to realize that most people are like zombies. They so caught up in their own fears and in fulfilling other people's expectations that they do and even consider the possibility of doing what they want. And the problem is, if all your friends are zombies, you'll probably be a zombie too. But when you wake up and you start thinking for yourself, people will notice. They might tease you, they might mock you, might try to drag you back down. And that's when you need to be strong enough to resist. Because here's the thing, when you really understand Nietzsche's philosophy, it gives you the strength to overcome any obstacle, any fear, any doubt. It gives you the ability to make your own decisions based on your own values. And that kind of strength is magnetic. People will respect you. They might even envy you, but the haters will still hate. That's just part of the journey. Here's how you deal with it. By doubling down. By becoming even more committed to your own path. By showing them that you're serious about this. By proving them wrong. Look, I know this sounds intense, right? This idea of completely changing the way you live, the way you think, the way you feel. But it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. It's a journey. If you're willing to take that journey, I promise you this. The rewards will be beyond anything you can imagine. You'll have true freedom. You'll have real power. You'll have an authentic life. And yes, you'll have haters. But as Nietzsche said, he who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself turns not into a monster. And if you gaze long into the abyss will also gaze into you. So be careful. This kind of power is not for everyone. But if you're ready for it, if you want to become the Übermensch, if you want to create your own meaning, if you want to stop caring what other people think, then this is for you. Welcome to the club. Just remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Don't waste it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't let it consume you. Use it. Create with it. Grow with it. And above all, don't ever forget the 3 major principles. God is dead. You are responsible for your own meaning. And stop caring what people think. Now go out there and start creating. You've made it this far. And that means something.
Right.
It means you're willing to question, to dig deeper, to pull back the curtain on everything you thought you knew about yourself. And now, it's time for the 3rd and most dangerous principle of all. The one society doesn't want you to understand. The one that changes everything. Here it is. You are not who you think you are. Let that land for a second. You're not your name. You're not your job. You're not your relationships. You're not your achievements. You're not the roles you've played or the expectations you've tried to meet. Those things may describe you. They might even be parts of you. But those things don't define you. You're something much deeper and far more fluid. Your identity isn't a static thing. It's a process. Becoming. And once you understand this, once you really get it, you realize you have far more power than you've been led to believe. You're not just a character in a story that someone else wrote. You're the author. And the question is, what kind of story will you write? Will it be a story of struggle against an uncaring universe? A tale of victimhood where life dealt you a bad hand, and you were left with no choice but to play the cards you were dealt? Or will it be a story of triumph, of rising above your circumstances, taking the raw materials of your experiences and forging them into something beautiful? Of creating your own meaning in a meaningless world, your own values in a relativistic one? Of pursuing your own truth in the face of societal pressures to conform? See, the moment you decide that you are not what society thinks, you are what your parents, friends, or colleagues think you are, what you think you should be, that's the moment you step onto the path of radical freedom. But there's a catch. It's kind of radical freedom. The freedom to create your own meaning, your own identity, your own purpose, comes at a cost. Because when you stop living by other people's scripts, you can't blame anyone else for where your life goes. There's no one to hide behind. No system, no tradition, no authority figure to lean on. You become fully responsible for your existence. And that level of responsibility, it's terrifying. That's why so many people choose the comfort of illusion over the chaos of truth. They'd rather stay in the roles they've been given than risk stepping into the unknown. They'd rather live according to what's expected than dare to ask, what do I want this life to mean? But you're here because you're not like most people. You've felt it. The pull toward something more. A voice deep inside, whispering that there's a part of you still undiscovered, still becoming. And that S, where Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, the higher self, becomes more than just philosophy. It becomes a challenge. Because the Übermensch doesn't wait to be told what life is about. He creates it. He doesn't seek approval from the herd. He walks alone if he must. He doesn't try to silence the chaos within. He embraces it and channels it into something powerful. The Übermensch is not a destination. It's a direction. A path of continuous self-overcoming. We've talked a lot about the nature of identity and how the self we think we are is largely an illusion. It's a story we've been told and retold so many times, we've come to believe it is true. Friedrich Nietzsche was a 19th century German philosopher. His radical ideas shook the foundations of Western thought. Well, because it can change your life. Nietzsche believed that we all have the potential to be more than what we currently are. Or was it handed to me? Am I living this way because it's right for me? Or because it's what's expected? Beautiful ideas. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. It doesn't understand why it needs to go through this painful, confusing process, but change it does. And in the process, it emerges as something more beautiful, more free, more alive than it could have ever imagined.
Oh.
That's what self-overcoming is like.
I like.
It's the process of breaking free from your cocoon and becoming who you truly meant to be. The abyss is the unknown, the chaos, the parts of ourselves that haven't been shaped yet. Most people think the abyss is something to avoid, something dark, something dangerous. But Nietzsche believed otherwise. He believed the abyss is necessary, because when you stare into it, when you stop running and finally face your fears, your doubts, your buried desires, something incredible happens. You see yourself, not the mask, not the image you've been maintaining, the real you, the one still being shaped, still in flux, still becoming. And when the abyss stares back, it's not to frighten you, it's to show you everything you've been hiding from, and everything you were capable of becoming. Start questioning your daily routines, your long-held assumptions, even the way you speak about yourself. Every belief, every habit, every reaction, trace it back. Ask, where did this come from? And does it still serve me? And remember, the abyss is not your enemy. It is your mirror. Once you truly see yourself in it, you'll never go back. If this journey has sparked something in you, if it's made you think, challenged you, or awakened a part of you that had been dormant, then keep it to yourself. Share this message. Start a conversation. Build a community of people who are ready to wake up. Like the video. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you haven't already, because the world needs more people who are willing to confront their shadows, question their conditioning, and live from a place of truth. Till next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and keep gazing into the abyss. Then, little by little, start writing new scripts. Let go of what no longer fits. Challenge the parts of yourself that feel artificial. And listen, truly listen, to the parts you've ignored for too long. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. There will be moments of confusion, moments where you feel lost, moments when it would be so much easier to go back to how things were. But don't, because this discomfort, that's the sign you're growing. We're all capable of growth, change, and self-improvement. Self-overcoming isn't about being better than others. It's about being the best version of yourself. It's about breaking free from the shackles of societal expectations and creating your own path in life. He questioned traditional morality, religion, and societal norms, and paved the way for existentialism and postmodernism. One of Nietzsche's most thought-provoking concepts is that of self-overcoming. It's the idea that we have the power to transcend our limitations and create new values for ourselves rather than blindly following the expectations and norms of society. But what if I told you there's a way to break free of this conditioning, to shatter the illusion and create a new identity for yourself. Welcome to this channel. Today we're diving deep into the transformative power of Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming. Self-overcoming isn't just a buzz phrase or a trendy self-help concept. It's a philosophy, a way of life, and a key to unlocking your fullest potential. But first, let's talk about who Nietzsche is and why he matters. Now you might be wondering, why should you care about Nietzsche's philosophy? So how do you begin to walk that path? You start with awareness. Start noticing the scripts you've been following. Ask yourself, did I choose this belief? Let us return to the metaphor Nietzsche gave us, one of his most haunting. Imagine a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The caterpillar, comfortable in its cocoon, doesn't want to change. Self-overcoming isn't a destination. It's a journey. It's a lifelong becoming.